officers, can you please come to order? Yes. I hope that you have all read the agenda. That you look at the minutes. Short and sweet, a page on minutes. Has everyone looked at the minutes?
No, I'm still looking. You can go.
Oh, wait a minute.
Was I not
For
here?
those who have not,
Yeah, you were here. Oh, I had nothing to say. Are we good?
are you happy with the minutes? Any corrections to the minutes?
I didn't have anything to say at that meeting.
You did.
Where?
Look, you made a motion.
Oh,
A second to the motion.
All right, seeing no corrections, the minutes will be accepted as presented. And moving right along, I think because of the hour and the extensive number of projects, I think we'll go right into CAM report
okay.
and approval or disapproval as appropriate.
So we'll begin at the Donald Show. Hello, everyone. Hey, guys, I have 3 proposals here for major projects. All 3 of these proposals, so I don't have to say it 3 times,
Right.
were reviewed and approved by the Bids Infrastructure Committee. The proposal you have in front of you were the selections of the bid committee, and all votes are unanimous. If you go to the first one, this is asphalt roadway repair. This is an ongoing effort. 4 times a year. We're looking at 7,520 square feet of messed up pavement. It'll be a little more than that when we finally get to the job, because, it's been a while. Total price was $42,917. There is no difference in price from the proposal you saw last week. Here's a quick look at the locations.
That's right.
And for those of you who asked about the 1-year warranty, it was there all the time. If you go to page 7, item 28, it's in their boilerplate.
Mhm.
1-year warranty.
I see it. Mhm.
I think we chewed this one up pretty good the last time, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
And make a motion.
Second.
Motion.
Motion to what?
To approve it,
Accept
to accept the $42,917.
The vendor.
Atlantic Southern.
Atlantic Southern, I'm sorry. I was trying to make the meeting short.
And just for everyone's, because Ed, you weren't here last time, this was not a bid out job. We only bid out paving once a year now. So this is for paving, this is a preferred contract.
Do we have a second?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bob.
Bob did.
Bob seconds. Is there any further discussion on this project?
I think we discussed it all out last time.
All right,
Fix pothole.
Here it comes.
fair enough. All right, call it.
Call it, Joanne.
Can we get? Can I just get the motion
Yeah.
to approve the project to?
Paving repairs,
Paving repairs. Atlantic Southern,
paving,
The amount of,
the amount of
$42,917. I made the motion and Bob seconded.
Seconded, okay,
What else?
David,
Yes.
Ed Grossman,
Yes.
John Bonaglia,
Yes.
Stuart,
Yes.
Fausto,
Yes.
Patricia,
yes.
Bob,
See,
and I'm voting yes, carries unanimously.
Okay, moving on to the next project. This is the installation of the curb along the north side of Century Boulevard.
I make the motion.
Before you make a motion, this proposal was reviewed and approved by the Bids Infrastructure Committee. I bring it to the board for their review. This was low bid, out of the two that we had. I'm gonna go through this real quick before you make a motion, Bob. You'll see the total price is $28,000. That's a $375 increase from the proposal I brought you a week ago, which is really over a month old. And that's strictly for the cost of material going up.
It's still $20,000 less than the other guy.
Oh, it's still low bid, yeah, without a doubt, but you need to know that.
Have you any idea of what we spend in a year repairing chewed up sod along that line?
Under $5,000. We're up to about 2,500 now, and we're halfway. And to be honest, I don't jump on every one of them. I wait until there's a lot,
But that expense would go away.
at least over there, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's kind of frustrating because I spend the money and then, I mean, one spot over here, literally the day it went down, a contractor blew up on it, and I got it on video. One of the guards picked it up.
Yeah.
So it's just, this is a good start. We could look later on maybe other problem areas, curbing them. But I think this is a good start.
All right, Joanne, note the arrival of Richard. All right, go ahead.
That's all I got, guys, unless you have questions for me, if somebody wants to make a motion.
I'm
Well,
just-
let's do the motion first.
I make the motion, we accept the $28,000 bid from Atlantic Southern for the curb.
I'll second.
Hit it.
Just one question, I
Yeah.
ran through this. It says concrete, yet when I read some of the, our responsibilities, and it sounds like they're putting on blacktop because they say prior cracks and
Well,
stuff.
it's boilerplate, so it will say blacktop, the same boilerplates on every one of them, but this isn't a blacktop job, so,
So it really doesn't apply.
exactly right.
Does anybody remember what the south side curb cost?
The south side, well, that was built into a,
Long time ago.
that was built into a $300,000 job. We don't really know what it costs because it was a
It
subcontract.
was fused with the sidewalk.
Correct. It was done by Cobra, a subcontractor,
Yeah.
who I actually pulled a bid from. And they
Right.
came.
Big thing.
Anyway, that's what I got.
All right.
Any questions on this?
Who seconded this?
Patricia.
Call it. You got a handout for Doc?
Yeah, we must have some extras.
Was the, Bob made the,
Yeah, yeah, you can have mine.
okay, thanks, guys. Bob made the, motion to, accept the bid to install concrete curb from, Atlantic Southern, for $28,000.
Just keep in mind that I suspect there might be some closure of the road.
Yeah,
Yes,
I would say on the day of,
right?
there'll probably be some traffic control at Warden Street.
I know, you have to do, you have to do.
That's not a, the movement of traffic plan, no big deal.
Let's just put Daniel in the loop.
Absolutely. The other thing is, since this project is not engineered, and I brought this up at the bid committee, we're gonna mimic the curb cuts to have drainage
Yeah.
and hope for the best. Now, if it turns out we have ponding in a particular area, we can mitigate that. We just put more curb cuts.
Okay,
So
okay.
just wanted to, it's really, I mean, because of the drainage issue, going by the book, it should be engineered, but I don't want to spend the money.
Donald,
Yes, sir.
is that, when you mentioned Borden Street, is that the same area we had that big pipe break?
Yes,
Path and-
a little further in, but
So
yes,
that break didn't have any
no,
impact of this?
it's Borden Street, but east of where the
Oh, I
break
just
was.
want to see
Yeah.
if they could have had an impact from what we did before.
Nah,
So we're done with the discussion. We'll call the vote. David Israel,
Yes,
Ed Grossman,
Yes.
John Vanaggia,
Yes.
Stu Richland,
yeah,
Yes.
Fausto,
Yes.
Patricia,
Yes.
Bob,
See,
I'm voting yes,
See,
and it carries unanimously.
Okay, final proposal is for sidewalk repairs on the north side of Century Boulevard between the clubhouse and Dover condominium. Who said fiber mesh at the last meeting? Who said the word?
somebody said it.
Someone who's,
Well,
no,
oh, it was David
no, it
Bowie.
wasn't, no, it
good
wasn't.
good catch, Dave, because it wasn't part of this proposal.
Oh,
I had assumed it was implied, but it's not. So it was put in. That's why there's a slight increase, at least just under $600 on the price that you saw last week. So fiber mesh is in, total price is $10,423. And it was actually something in this proposal that wasn't in the other one, which is the ADA traction tile. It looks like a piece of yellow pergo tile. That's in too. And that's all I got on that. Maps there if you want to see where it's gonna be.
I make a motion that we accept Atlantic Southern's bid of $10,423 to replace 740 square feet of sidewalk.
Second.
Second.
Yes, I'll second it. Discussion?
you should say north or south like the other one.
No, they didn't,
That was-
add any curve
north
or
or south
anything.
was the other one.
Now curbs, I believe that section is already curbed. Don't quote me on that.
That would be the south
Is
side.
that the south side?
South
It's
side.
just shy of
What
the
about,
gate,
what about the
Yes.
little-
right?
the
Is that
little
on the
triangle
south
that
side?
we talked about?
Yes. On the south side of the road.
Yeah, here,
That triangle will be filled in by the widening of the
This is the
sidewalk.
north side.
We got
That's the
720
south
going out and 925 going in. That accounts for the widening.
It's code driven, right?
Oh, yeah. And permits for everything.
Did I
Yeah,
see
Bob.
a hand?
Yeah, heck,
I just wanted to know that the fact that the same contractor got 3 jobs.
yeah, he hit the trifecta.
Hmm?
He hit the trifecta.
No, I want to know if we got a break because he gave him 3 jobs.
he was the underbidder on all three.
I bid them all out separately.
Okay.
Are we good? Fausto brought a motion to replace 740 square feet of sidewalk by Atlantic Southern Paving for $10,423.
Don't you want to say the south side of that? You just want to say it for
Just say
whatever
south-
purposes for the future. Someone will say, didn't we do this before?
South side.
Do you know what I'm saying? To be explicit, so that I will come back and say we did it already. When it's the other side.
925 being
Okay.
sold. Square feet. You know, just a sidewalk to be replaced.
Sidewalk to be replaced. Okay, David Israel,
Yes.
Ed Grossman,
Yes.
Dom Granaglia,
Yes.
Stu Richland.
Yes.
Fausto,
Yes,
Yes,
Patricia,
yes.
Bob,
We,
and I'm voting yes, unanimously carried.
All right, guys, before, while you're still on the Donald Show, I just got one thing I want to talk to you all about today. Today I had to throw out a fellow who was angry and was screaming, hollering, making a disturbance in the lobby.
Oh,
I had to call the police, the whole 9 yards.
really?
Yeah, I just want to caution all of you, and I'm very protective of all of you, frankly. If I tell you to get away from the bastard, get away from him. That goes for you too, Stu. Go in the other room, close the door. I don't want to have to answer to Phyllis if he knocks you down. You just never know. They look like harmless old man, but I mean, you know, and he was belly bucking with me, which was kind of comical. We'll get to watch that on the video. But you just never know with these guys. As soon as they're screaming and hollering, I tell them out. The only one that should be dealing with them except me is Daniel. You guys just, you're not getting paid for that. Go in the other room, shut the door, especially the girls. All right, that's all I got to say about that. The heat brings this crap on.
why, I'm more scared of her than you.
You're very smart.
That reminds me of a Rogali. Remember Rogali? Nobody remembers it.
I don't.
We need,
It was the same kind of problem except that Rogali had been a professional boxer and he just went nuts. He was crazy. Oh, I would say immediately, get out of the
I
way,
just, you know-
all PBSO.
Well, we did, but I just wanna, we should have a protocol, and the protocol is, anybody acts up and you see me doing, or Fausto for that reason. If he sees, if we say out and then kicking up a fuss, just go in the other rooms and
What was
close the door.
his principal complaint?
Something about his barcode wasn't working.
So that means
Well,
they
that's
cannot-
really.
Well, now it'll never work again, but
Jesus. Barcode wasn't.
I think I got you in all in the same room, so.
His last name is Solomon, and he drove a Mercedes-Benz convertible.
Oh,
And when he was leaving here, he went down the wrong way.
Oh,
He
yeah,
went, instead of going to the other side of the road, he went.
went
made a
to
left
oncoming
turn.
traffic and then made a right turn onto.
Right to traffic, went to the corner by Okeechobee and zipped across. I guess he was trying to get away
Exactly.
before the police came.
Exactly.
Let's just not try to, I know it's, we're meant, somebody, it's natural to,
sad.
but the only one who's gotta worry about that is me, guys. Just get out of there. I don't want,
Excuse me, my reaction is to.
You got a bulletproof vest, the only one that's you.
no, it's, I,
It shouldn't just be you, it should be the authorities. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
you're not paid to take that kind of risk.
and listen, when it comes down to it, I'll fly the scoop too, but, and we called the police, and I gotta say, Debbie Gare, I said, call them, she knew exactly what to say to the cops, and it was.
They were here, yeah.
Did they arrest him?
She did?
No, because once it
Years
was
ago?
serious, and we talked to the cops, then he retired, he left.
Is he precluded from coming in again?
He's trespassed from the building. If he shows up again, everyone's just gonna call the police.
De facto, did we check to see if his barcode is defective?
I went out to look at it, and the reason why we know his last name is because I remembered the number of the barcode, 25699. Why I remembered it is good. Getting old, but not that old yet.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's pretty good.
But I went out there and
Yes.
checked the
It
barcode,
translates to a century.
and I came in and I said to the guy, it's worn,
That was
you'll
impressive.
probably need another barcode, and that's when he got angry because of the fact that he wanted the old style bar that was put in there. And he wanted to know why he had to get another one, and I said, the elements destroy your barcode, and that you
Yeah,
just
right.
have to get another one.
Oh,
The
he
shelf
was
life.
talking about that old
Yeah.
transponder.
Yes.
Right, and I told him that the shelf life is between 3 to 5 years, depending on how you treat your car and where it's parked and so on. And at that point, he got belligerent, and Dominic went to talk to him and told him, and he didn't have his registration. And that's when he got angry, because not only did he have to pay $10, but he had to pay registration, and he stood up and he looked at Dominic and he got angry and he started to raise his voice. And it was at that point that I walked over and I tried to explain to them, to the guy, this is the process. And he just kept on raising his voice, and then you came over.
That boy came in and said, out.
Yeah,
No,
and that was it.
so.
Now, when a situation like this happens, do we bar him from getting a barcode?
I wouldn't borrow him from that.
I've already administratively done that. He'll have to come back, and
Yeah,
we've turned off his barcode.
Okay.
certainly doesn't work.
I don't care who knows.
I mean, you can't kick a
No,
guy out.
no, I'm just saying.
That $10
it should be done.
You can only go just so far from our end. You can't
Being
take his
recorded.
apartment away and kick him out. I don't care who knows, whatever,
We can
but
make-
you can at least take his privileges.
Joe,
Anyway,
That's it.
that's the story.
all right, so.
Thank you, everyone. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
Yes, Ruth.
This is for Donald. Would you like me to go tell Greg to release your report?
I'll do it for you. I got it queued up.
All right, so now I think, I thought it would take longer. I just went very efficiently. So let's do officers' reports. And where shall we start, Dom?
Nothing to report,
Oh, okay, you don't have to.
no.
All right, Fausto.
I apologize, I don't have an update on the UCO reporter, but from what I know, we're almost 100% paid. We're waiting for some checks from political ads.
3 campaign ads, which I knew nothing about, but that's another story. The checks, I have copies of them, email. They were just mailed yesterday, so they're coming, but
Okay.
they're reliable. They're Greg Weiss, Supervisor of Elections and Board of Education. We'll get them. 1 ad is going in because the other 2 were not received in time to go to the printer. So they will get credit for the month of September, those 2. But other than that, nobody owes us anything.
Okay, neat. Anything else?
Neato.
No,
Oh, that's good. Stu.
Just yesterday, the woman was walking on the road when I stopped her to tell her, you're going to get killed if you don't get off the road. Her answer was, I just took my pills, and she looked disconnected.
Oh, my God.
And when I started to drive away, I saw her cross the road, the double yellow line to the other side and get off the road. This morning, coming in, there was a woman jogging against the traffic in the road, coming towards the office. But this is what's happening, and really, I don't care how many signs we put up, it's going to happen. And hopefully they're aware enough to get off the road when they see a car coming, or the car sees them before. At least it was early in the morning, but it was light. It was, they were visible from a distance.
There's a couple of issues here. Lack of sidewalks all around
Mm,
and issues with more senior citizens trying to walk in grass is a problem.
Yeah,
Throws them off, especially if they're on certain meds. Certain meds that create peripheral neuropathy, and it throws your balance off.
mhm.
And I think that may be why some people walk in the road. But the danger is great, especially if you're in dark clothing
oh, absolutely.
and at night. I don't know what we can do about it.
Nothing.
And of course, the older you are, the reaction time is less, and then the drivers too. We see them when they pull up here. We wonder who let them drive the car. They could barely
Yeah,
get out of the automobile and then walk around. So
right.
in any event, so those were the 2 events that I thought,
All right.
I know if we drive around long enough, everybody's going to see it. But it just so happened that I saw it 2 days in a row, and that was it. Nothing else. to
Anything
report.
else? That's it.
That's it.
Patricia,
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
hi.
Great to be here and see everyone here. Miss Donald. I was approached today in the supermarket. And
You were
told-
approached?
And told
Oh,
that what I did at the assembly was wrong, and a lot of people are mad at me and angry, cutting Ed Grossman off.
oh,
And I said, rules are rules. I know all about Robert's law, which they don't understand. They think I don't. I know what the book says, but it's not a law. It's a
course not.
recommendation. I was told to do that, and so I did it. That's not my decision. And I just want to let you know,
all right.
so I said, it's okay. I'm not going to run against you. I don't have to worry about who likes me and who doesn't.
I understand.
But
As I said the other day, I was never particularly enamored. Certain people, they worship at the feet of this baloney that comes out of the British House of Parliament. And most of the time, it's not applicable. But you do have to have some rules for running meetings where hundreds of people are in the room. Robert's rules to a point are reasonable, but there's so many little nuances. And the idea, I remember we had a so-called parliamentarian.
Yeah, I understand.
And the only thing it did was bog down the meeting. Doc,
Well, I actually wasn't finished.
oh, okay, sorry.
If I can speak,
Well, I'm still speaking.
okay,
Like,
Rob,
I don't interrupt
When the
you. I'm
officer
still
has-
speaking.
are you still speaking?
Yes, I am.
When the officer is finished, she'll be recognized.
No,
All right,
because
hold on,
he
Doc.
All right, all right, okay,
Okay.
let's go.
Go ahead.
So, as I was saying, when I was president of the Women's Guild of my church, we did have a parliamentarian, and we did follow a lot of the rules. However, the time is actually up to the chair, and that would be me, as it is you. If you allow everyone to just go on talking, you'll never get out of the room.
No, I understand.
And even though a lot of times it is valuable information, what makes it bad is that if everyone had the same time slot, people would be here for sleep by the time you all have to go. And I'm not being facetious, I'm really not. I'm just stating a point. What I did want to bring up, which I think is important, so we limit the offices and people who are coming to the mic to 3 minutes. However, as someone brought up, and I think it's a good point, Neil had a lot of good stuff to say, and I felt really bad cutting him off. I really did. I think when someone in that position, not the people who are running, not the people who are there to sell us on voting for them, but someone like Neil or Weiss, I think we need to give them the time without timing them.
Yeah, and actually, Robert's rules allow for that.
Chair's
Okay, I just want to make a
prerogative.
point, so when we go to the meeting, when we go to the delegate, we don't have that confusion. You know, everyone gets 3 minutes, and someone from Neil's, from Weiss's office should be able to speak to tell us what's important and valuable to everyone.
But you make a very good point. You gotta differentiate. A lot of these
Of course.
people come
Of course.
and they're campaigning,
They
pure and
all-
simple.
They all were.
You're just campaigning for votes.
Okay, now I'm finished.
All right, Doc, you have undoubtedly some ancillary expansion on this.
Well, more than ancillary, but I'm not, they are secondary. Robert's rules says you get 10 minutes and 2 bites, and I think 10 minutes is too long. As I said in the email that I sent to you yesterday, my recommendation would be, unless speaking officially, a speaker is limited to 3 minutes and 2 times. Patricia mentioned Commissioner Weiss. He speaks informatively, not
Correct.
emotionally.
You know,
He is not running. And
Yes,
the
he
law
is.
enforcement officers,
Yes.
sometimes one of the officers, when they are reporting,
mhm,
it will take longer than 3 minutes. They should be allowed to do so.
correct.
The bylaws say, as I emailed to you, there are 3 separate instances. The committee, the board, or the assembly, the group can pass speech restrictions, or the president may do so if necessary, but not another individual person. That's all I have to say.
All right. I like your idea. And I will reiterate some of these timelines at beginning of the meeting. All right, and I think personally, 3 minutes is pretty much enough for most people, other than, as you mentioned, Commissioner
Police.
Weiss, law enforcement. If you think about what you want to say in advance and capsulize it, you usually can get out what you need to say. And that's what I try to do. I mean, sure, I could ramble on forever. What's the point?
You do sometimes.
Well,
That's all you do.
when I do, you, at 3 minutes, you go
I
back.
don't get mad at me now. I have witnesses.
Well, you know, I understand the rules.
Okay.
I saw a hand, Stuart.
I just think that the rule to follow here is common sense.
Yes,
And
Thank you.
for the length of time that I've been sitting at delegate assemblies, the police department makes their statements, and it's always above and beyond 3 minutes.
Mhm.
But there's not a soul in the delegation that gets up and leaves, because vicariously they enjoy, it's like watching a detective program. And they enjoy, I think, that someone else's heartbreak when they have their bank account ripped off and stuff like that. So I know would never object to the fact that they can talk as long as they want. Some of the politicians, they give them the microphone and they don't realize what they're saying and they're rambling a little bit. But I think common sense, Weiss is a different story. He represents us. I don't want to cut him off because he may have a memory that said when we ask him for something, he'll say, well, you guys cut me off. I'm not going to push myself to do something for you.
Right.
So we have to be a little bit thoughtful when it comes to that. But 3 minutes is really basically a long time if you think about what you could say in the 3 minutes and move on. But one other thing, when you sit up there and you look at the audience, and then you look at who's talking and who starts to get up and walk out, you could tell already that whatever they're going to say is inconsequential because they're not keeping anybody there. And the people who are there have already been entertained and they're on their way out. I hate to say it this way, but that's the way I see it. And it's been like that for quite a while. But common sense is all you need. You know, you don't need too many rules. Don't talk too long, please. Thank you very much. And a person should be allowed.
Here's an issue though, particularly with Lieutenant Monath. He really rambles on. He sends a report, which I send to all of you. And it clearly says it's redacted for release. But then on the other hand, they sit here at a security meeting and say, oh no, you can't distribute it to everybody. And then he reads from that very report,
Exactly.
right?
That's true.
And I don't know, he needs to be shut down.
Well, maybe we should talk.
He just goes on too long. And all he's doing is reading from that report.
Well, like Stu said about Commissioner Weiss, Lieutenant Molnath is someone who I can call and answers his phone when he's on vacation in Arizona and says, I'm so sorry. He says, no, relax. And he takes the call and actions, whatever the problem is I have.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I just wish he would capsulize his report for us. Now, 3 or 4 top level issues. Not just pull out the same report and read from it. The same report he tells us we can't distribute.
Or publish.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I think we're kind of, yes, Ed.
I want to comment on what Stuart said, and I think that's right, but I don't think we're using common sense in certain areas. I defy anybody to say that 3 minutes is always all that's necessary when it comes to money. And I feel that you're in love with a woman who's possibly no longer with us, who just gets up there and says, like a rote. I'm not a rote. My feeling is that as the treasurer, I should enlighten the audience, which is the delegates, of pertinent information, and I'll use the same that I used the other day. $25,000 is not as important as some other news that really most of the delegates don't know. And it shows in some of the responses that I got to the 2,000 emails you sent out and I sent out, that people are unaware or not knowledgeable on things that really concern them. And so I think, no, you can't ramble for 2 hours and 10 minutes, but we also talked about in a prior meeting that you would have a special day rather than the delegate assembly to have these guys and women who want to sell themselves. And let me tell you, everybody who comes here, including the commissioner, and not being negative, is selling himself because there's another election coming forward. He's not there forever. So yes, there should be another platform, and if people are interested, they'll come, and if they're not interested, they'll come also. it was very evident at that last delegate assembly, I think there was 6 people left in the audience by the time the last person got up to promote themselves. So what did they accomplish? They kept 6 people.
Well,
I think we should have had a shot at that, see what was left in the audience.
this is the issue though, Ed. This is why I pushed them to the end. They know they have a captive audience there. I pushed them to the end and I would hope eventually they would get the message as they ramble on and people walk out.
They're there on a freebie.
Sure.
When they put an ad in the paper, when they go on television, that's not free. So free is unlimited to them. If they get 2 votes that they didn't get before,
Yeah.
they've accomplished something.
But also you have another option. You can write an article for the paper to explain a lot of the issues you find important.
Or
I
attach,
agree,
or attach a
except-
report to the agenda.
except
Yes.
it's another avenue, and you say, I can. There seems to be a limitation on space because the last article I submitted was cut in half.
Oh,
Okay, now, that's up to the editor, but that's not really a freebie. Of course, I could have taken that and gotten another article on the main, what I felt was a topic, and in my regular article, and that's quite a bit more space. I mean, we have articles on baseball, we have articles on old pictures. They take a lot of space, and then we ask people to write articles. So therefore, there is an explanation for everything. And that's my opinion. You have people who say it took too long. I got people come up to me and say, you did a terrific job. That's the best that I've ever had.
Few and far between.
there's a lot of hands here. Go ahead,
That's right.
Patricia.
Actually, the one point he brought up, I do agree with. If we could have a separate time, because if people are interested in the people who are campaigning, and a lot of people are, I probably would go to a meeting.
We could
just for
have
them.
a political forum.
And it would not, and it wouldn't take away from whoever's speaking on the dais or whatever someone else has to say. The meetings go very long in the assembly and people get irritated. I was part of that audience and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't always stay to the end.
Well,
Yeah, because sometimes it's just redundant. Like one person will come up to the mic and say blah, 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 and then another person will come up and say the same exact thing. You have said many times, but if you've said it already, if you say we don't like this, you don't have to have 10 people behind coming and saying the same thing. It takes up too much time. Don't you agree? And as far as your article and you feel like you can't say what you say, I know that you like to speak a lot. You do. You know that too. I think that you could have a summation of what's really important and speak about that when it's your turn to speak. That's my personal opinion,
I know.
and no one else's, I'm sure you do have important things to say. When I had, as an office manager, I had to take a report and just analyze it and give my summation I summarized it to what exactly I wanted with the bullet points, key points. Do you know what I'm driving at? And maybe you could do it part in the assembly and part in an article. It's not that I didn't say we're not interested. It's just that, I know sometimes you talk about a lot of other things before you really get to the important issues. So I think you really need to, that's my opinion. That's it. I'm finished.
You're entitled to.
Absolutely, you all, including you. Finito.
Bob, did you have your hand up?
I just want to get my report in, that's.
All right, I just don't want to forget.
Well, no,
Joanne.
here's what I suggest. Okay,
You're right.
during delegate assembly, officers be limited to 5 minutes.
No,
No, wait a minute, let me finish. They get their 5 minutes. They can, anything that they need to say could be done within those 5 minutes. They don't have to use the 5 minutes, but they get a 5 limit.
Some of
limit.
us will.
Five
I
limit.
won't.
How about 3?
5 minute limit. And then if they go for a second bite, they're down to the 3 like everybody else.
We're not gonna do second bite, are we?
All right, let me
What do
just,
you all think about that?
No.
Not for a second bite.
I have something about this. Let's just do some simple arithmetic. I know I just said I'm not so good with figures, but I can figure this one out. You have 8 officers, 1 editor, 1 long-winded cam. That's 10. 10 times 3 minutes each that's a half hour just for the reports. Then if you have segue and in between, like Dave says, okay, you're next, plus questions and answers and comments, you could easily double that. That's an hour. Now you have to do the business in the report. That's another half hour to 45 minutes. So we're already at 2 hours. And then the guests. So how long you want to make
What
this
I'm
meeting?
saying is an officer's report should never go over 5 minutes, period. I doubt anyone here will go over 2 minutes.
I think anything that's, Bob, personally, I think anything that's more than 3 minutes can be appended to the, as a report to the agenda. And you could say, I'd like you all to refer to my report. Please read it. That's it.
Oh, that's true,
I would say
that's true.
your calculation is an assumption because you could have 6 officers say, that's it, I have nothing to say. So you got to add it all together. Go to a couple of the prior recordings and see how much the officers take together. I'm new, I have nothing to say. There's nothing to say. The newspaper made $30 million this morning. Yeah. It is all relevant. I think that Bob has come up with a pretty good solution, even for my verbose. 5 minutes. Who says you have to give 3 hours to the politicians? That's
That's true,
That is true.
that's true.
Very
That's
10
right.
politicians, we had 3 minutes each, you think? That's a lot of time.
I agree.
But Ed, the point was made. And never forget it. The ones that get elected who were disrespected here have long memories.
Yeah, that's true.
And you may need these people in the future to help us out with something. You gotta be very careful.
The thing that we need to do is be a little more strict on that second bite. Because you get some people that go up for a third and a fourth.
No, you mean people.
No,
in
we
the
always
We all
limit it.
know who we're
Oh,
talking
you're
about.
talking about in the audience.
Yeah, we tried to put rules in. You wanna come up again, you gotta get to the end of the line.
Yeah, let everyone else.
So we have that in effect.
I think it's been. helpful.
Doc, you had something? Briefly, of course.
Yeah, when Ed spoke about the $25,000 in his reporting, that's why I put in, except when speaking officially. When the officer or the law enforcement is speaking as an officer of law enforcement, Commissioner Weiss is transmitting information, I don't think there should be
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about. I apologize.
I don't think there should be a limit. Next week, Ed is, the treasurer and the budget are coming up. I would guess that Ed's report and the going through the budget at the delegate assembly is going to take more than 5 minutes.
Oh, yes.
So I don't think he is acting as treasurer, not as Ed Grossman.
This would be the principal item on the October agenda.
I don't think he should be limited to 5 minutes.
No, I understand.
Okay. That's
But
all I'm-
that's a unique situation, happens once a year.
But that's where common sense come in.
Right.
Yeah, that's our principal piece of business in
Some people
October.
don't follow.
Wait till the operations committee meeting on the budget.
All right,
That goes on for 3 hours, starting with lunch.
3 days.
but I do.
Yes, as much as 3 days.
I do
We've been
think-
in there 3 days.
I do
You're
think
talking
that-
about WPRF.
Yes.
They feed you.
Yeah,
I do think that separating
You can
out
see
the
somebody there.
promotional campaigning
Yeah, that was my doorbell.
politicians to a separate seminar,
Can't tell what it is.
meet and greet is a good idea.
well, I just made that suggestion, nobody picked it up. We can have a political forum. specifically. We've tried that before. I don't want to remind you how few people showed up, but
Really?
we can do it.
Oh,
And it would have to be well advertised and you see what happens. I remember Susan Booker was furious. All right, Bob, you had anything else? We kind of cut you off.
not with you.
No, okay. And Joanne,
I had two things I wanted to talk about. One is the clickers. We've been able, first of all, I want to acknowledge that, that John Gregg and Ken have been very, Ken Graff have been very helpful. They've given me all the information that they had, all the equipment, how to get everything up and working. I've tested everything, it all works. Every one of the clickers is accounted for. I've also done testing to make sure each individual clicker works and that we can get the reports and the reports are accurate so that they can be entered into the record as, you know, official documents.
yeah,
So I think bringing the clicker program is gonna be challenging because people, I think, had a bad sort of feeling toward it in the past. But I'm gonna start by handing, Ruth was kind enough to put a nice size ad in that you'll see in the paper for the September issue. I'm also in the September package gonna put a piece in that we're bringing the clickers back and here's how you're gonna be able to use them. And I'll talk about it at the delegate assembly. And then October, obviously, we'll start using them so that they can be used for the budget. And we're in desperate need therefore of volunteers to help with the sign-in. Because you've got to have extra people at the sign-in desk, you know, handing the clickers out, collecting the IDs, and then, of course, after the meeting, giving back the IDs. So I know this is an issue, so,
this is what makes people uncomfortable.
yeah.
I have been told this many times.
Yeah.
People do not like handing over their ID.
And
And I still am in favor of signing these things out to building boards. Making them responsible that the batteries are put in and blah, 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 but
well, it may generate
how
some
many
discussion.
will get lost?
Well, that's,
Probably have.
and what,
That's not a good idea, because people who are not delegates will use them.
We really need to be very careful about how we legislate the process.
Yeah.
And
I think your idea is excellent. And as far as the cost, we should know what they cost. And when you sign them out to an association, if they lose it, they're gonna pay for it. Nothing in life is free, including living at Century Village, which everybody thinks we should all work for nothing, but they work their whole lives to make their own money, okay? So therefore, we don't have a great attendance lately.
Well,
We cut it from what was to 100, it started at 146, then it went to 117. I think we had 3 meetings that didn't have 117. So the answer is they're big boys and big girls. If they don't want to come, they don't come. And if they lose them, they're gonna pay for them, or take a deposit right up front. Take a deposit right up front, and then it costs you money.
David,
I know we went through this before, but I'll bring up my objection to that. We all know how some delegates are, especially when you only have one delegate. Doesn't matter how many alternates are there, if that delegate won't release that clicker to the alternate, that association's not gonna be able to vote. So that's why it's a
That was
bad
one.
idea.
Amen.
have to-
Donald.
All right, expanding on what Dave just said, there's nothing in our bylaws that says delegates must have a clicker to vote.
oh, that's right.
And that would require a bylaw amendment. But if they just don't want it, they don't want to pay a deposit, they don't want to pay for it if they lose it, they lost it, they don't want it in the first place, you can't keep them from voting. So unless our bylaws change to accommodate these clickers, I think this is, we went through all this. This is old, it's just we forgot.
Yes.
It was years and years ago. But, you open yourself up to, I was not represented at an important meeting like the budget meeting because of a clicker. Show me the bylaws that says clicker.
The only ones that need a clicker is the delegates. 90%, 70% of the population says, I'm not a delegate. You mean I can go to the delegate assembly? We're big people. They have to take their own responsibility. David, a million things can happen. It's up to the association. If the delegate doesn't want to give it back, it's not our problem. It's the association's problem. We're taking on the association's problem and it's unnecessary.
Patricia,
Okay. I, for one, am the president of my building, and I will not accept those clickers and take the responsibility. Why should I have to be responsible for somebody's irresponsibility? I think that sucks, number one. That's number one. Number two, the reason we don't have the same amount of people in the audience, there are a lot of people who are delegates who are not here right now. When you see in November, when everyone's back, the numbers will go up. It's not that people don't care. I have buildings, I have people coming in and say, but we have no delegates. We can't go and vote. We have no one here. We don't have a board. We don't have the president. They're not here. We have a lot of snowbirds here. So I wouldn't go by that. But as far as responsibility, I'll refuse it. I do not want that responsibility.
I don't think you have to be
Jesus.
an officer to be a delegate of an association. Am I right or wrong?
anybody can be a delegate.
So Joe Smith goes to the Congo 12 months a year and is only here 6 days, and he or she's the delegate. The association can have as many potential delegates.
They can.
Alternates.
Yeah.
Alternates, they can, but do they? They can.
Again, you're playing babysitter.
Listen, I see,
Playing
excuse me,
babysitter.
excuse me, I see those papers every week because I have to send out notices, courtesy notices. So I see who is a delegate. They don't even want to give you their email. A lot of those forms have one delegate. And I said, how's that possible?
Hand over here. I know.
Got a hand over here.
Yeah,
My,
without multiple bites at the apple.
He was-
Yes, Doc.
He was first.
my question is, would we then issue 349 clickers because there are 349 delegates?
Yes.
So how would we have to issue to them all because we don't know ahead of time who's gonna show up at the assembly. That's why
That
what
doesn't work.
Joanne said is the way to go. If they come, they get it. They turn in their ID.
There's a problem. If the clicker gets lost, and I agree with that, you lose your clicker, give me $20. And we'll get you another one.
Costs more than that for them.
But I don't think it was more than that. It was in that range. I'd have to look it up. All right, Bob.
On the back of the ID card, your Century Village ID.
Right?
All ID cards are property of WPRF. Original ID must be presented to any and all WPRF or security personnel upon request. No loaning, copying, blah, blah, blah. All right? This ID card, although it's got their picture on it and they can walk around looking all pretty and stuff, it's not theirs.
Okay,
All right? So if you ask for an ID card to get a clicker to vote,
Yeah.
give them the ID card because
They don't
it's
want to
not
give
yours.
That's the problem.
It's not yours.
That's WPRF.
That's all right.
And Eva has already agreed that if there's ever a problem, she will replace them for free.
Yes, she
There'll be
said
no
that.
charge.
And the thing is, it's not their ID card to begin with, all right? If you're asking for it to get a clicker so you can vote, then you should have no objection.
You
Give up the ID.
UCO cannot ask for it. WPRF can ask for their ID.
yeah, but
UCO
this is not
cannot.
what we were doing.
No,
What we were doing when we were using the clickers was we were demanding that they give us the ID card.
Right.
Now, you got all these delegates piling up at the table, going in and coming out to get that ID back. And what Bob says is eminently logical. but people don't like giving them up. And you're not gonna change that attitude. They just don't like it. I've heard this in my building so many times, I'm sick of it. So,
What about
Then,
going?
in that case, what they're doing is giving up their right to vote.
well,
If they don't want to give up their ID, they're giving up their
That
right to
wasn't our
vote, and they
alternative.
should not complain about it.
our alternative was we gave them a piece of paper,
Yeah, Bill,
but it's too easy to fraud. You know, it's too easy, then people can,
too difficult to count.
they can guess at the color of the month. Then they get multiple votes. Yes,
Why don't we go to what you suggested for the buses? Have a scanner with 2 or 3 scanners at the door, and anybody who was a delegate slips the card in, it's scanned, and give them the ID, the clicker, and that ends the story.
Who's gonna do that?
Who's gonna do it? The same people who do
No.
the,
That
now,
wouldn't work. It won't work.
you know what? This is not freedom land. We're not obligated to do all the work for nothing as a volunteer. If you need another employee, it goes into the payroll and into the budget. People think they come here and everything is coming to them. And that's a lot more of the new purchases than the old purchases.
yes, stop.
I would think it would be the president or the board's responsibility of the association to ask a person if you are a delegate, or to tell a person if you are a delegate, you will have to surrender your card to get a clicker to represent us. If
You have less
don't
delegates.
Volunteer to be a delegate.
So you'll have no delegates.
We did it for a while. I love the clickers. I love the reports that are produced that go right into the minutes. It was magnificent, but people don't like it.
But how many
Why
people?
would they volunteer for it?
But people also don't like the paper vote.
Oh, yeah.
They, everyone.
How
has
much of a
comments
percentage?
about the paper vote.
What?
How much of a percentage are there that don't like it? I know a lot of people that don't mind giving, I don't mind giving it up.
At the most.
I don't know.
I think it's a sacred word in the paper, I really do. And even, let's say, we know 12,000 people don't vote. Let's say we have 150, and 30 of them don't like the idea. Tough.
Yeah, I hear
Then
you.
there's only
You can't,
120 votes.
when we vote here, it's the majority, isn't it? So it's the same thing with the clickers. You can ask if you want to do that, how many people really object to it.
Do you remember the graphics
Yeah.
that it produced?
Yeah.
It's instant.
It's beautiful,
And no one can say there was, oh, that's not true, they didn't take all the votes, they were lying.
right?
It's accurate. It's the most accurate out of everything we do. So I don't think we should bow down to the few, cow down to the
No,
people.
I don't,
Threaten us.
look, I love the clickers,
Yeah,
but I'm not the one who has to do all that housekeeping at the front desk.
well, I volunteered many times. When-
Yeah.
Before I was vice president, I volunteered many times. I'll look for people for you.
Thank you.
I will,
I mean, that's gonna be the essential part.
I will.
So,
All right, now listen up. Don't speak until you're recognized.
Thank you.
This baloney of 5 people speaking at the same time doesn't work. All right,
Okay,
Ed,
I don't want to correct you. That is not the best way. And you don't need clickers. And we used to do it in the past. You had a few people up front and you had a vote. They had to come up front and register yes or no under their name. And the alternative to that is having a standing vote. And the alternative is not as good as what I just said. That is the most accurate vote you can get. People don't want to come up and vote. They don't vote, but that's the way we used to take it.
called
And
a
it was,
roll call.
it was perfect.
oh,
You could,
that's a little different.
That's what he
But
said.
you don't have to come anywhere to use the clickers. We tested that.
Yeah.
We
Well-
tested the radio link. You can go to the furthest part of the balcony.
Sure.
And the receiver will see it.
we've
It's
had
not an
vote.
issue.
It's a vote we've had in the past with the clickers when you added up the population.
It didn't count. The counts were wrong.
Yeah, the
I
counts
remember
were
that.
wrong.
Yeah,
Well, if you don't vote, the counts don't show.
yeah. Occasionally there
Oh,
were
right, that's-
discrepancies
That's right, there
in the
was.
number of people signed in and the number of clicker votes. I could never figure out why.
It's easy.
Doc,
They don't vote.
The reason is that people who abstain. And the point is that with a roll call, if a person wishes to abstain, everyone else knows it. But with a clicker,
Gotcha.
if a person wishes to abstain, no one else knows it.
that's right.
Robert's rules, I know we have spoken against it, but it is very clear that a person should be able to abstain anonymously. And that's the way I feel also.
Okay,
I believe there is a button for it, for abstaining.
yes, there is.
Yeah, so there's no excuse for that.
No
There,
excuse for why.
there is a button for abstain.
Oh, yeah, but no one else knows that you have pushed that button. Whereas if you do not stand up.
What's the point
everyone
here?
knows it.
I don't get that.
There is
Jesus Christ. Yes, Ed.
well, I think that the roll call vote is more important because, let's just say, the association says, we want to vote yes. The delegate goes and votes no. You wouldn't know, but if that person has to stand up and sign or doesn't, then the association can know, hey, Harry didn't vote what we told him to vote.
Accountability.
Look, I hear that, but the American model is anonymous voting. Nobody has to stand up and tell anybody else who they voted for in an election. And there are people who don't like being seen on the record. That's why I like the clickers, where people could vote their mind. Now, roll call votes, I always saved for extremely important issues because they take forever. Absolutely forever. Call name by name by name. All right, and I remember we even had 2 different people recording it because we didn't trust one person to record it, could make a mistake. Yes, Tom. Oh, did you have a hand up?
Well, no, but I do have something to say, but I won't because I didn't have my hand up.
Shot yourself in the foot.
I remember Joanne and
If you remember the history behind the purchase of the clickers to begin with, and that's the reality that we have to deal with. We had been getting constant complaints that votes were taken, and it took a very long time.
Yes,
And a lot of people did not like the roll call at all. They found it was technically what you had said. They didn't want to be associated with a for or against and so on. And the philosophy of voting has always been anonymous. That is, you don't tell anybody who you're voting for. And so we had contacted lots of organizations and we had investigated lots of alternatives. And we found that the clickers were the best way to go. And when we used it, it was boom, boom, boom. The vote was taken, the results were there. You had a chart, the graph, everybody was happy, and that was the end of it. And those few people that either did not want to turn their card in to get a clicker was so infinitesimal that it doesn't make any difference. That the majority of the people supported what we were doing. And after a few times of using it, they knew the difference between for or against and abstain, and that's the end of it. And we really did not have a problem. What they did like was the quickness or the fast vote taking of the results given to them immediately. And because of the television in their head, they see it on the screen and they're very comfortable with that.
right,
You know, they're all visual.
all right. Did
And that's
anybody
as far
not, I mean, there's been so much chatter. Yes, I have an item. Did we talk to everybody?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about Dover.
About what?
About what?
Dover.
Okay.
Miss Susan has sent an email in here, and she wants the history of the rock garden on the corner of the four-way intersection coming in off Haverhill. Now, I specifically looked at that years ago, and I asked Donald recently. This is not Yuko ground.
Oh,
Part of this ground belongs to Dover, part of it belongs to the medical center.
okay.
But Yuko, for years, has been pouring money into landscaping it.
Mhm.
And while, you know, Miss Kansel has been something of an issue over recent times vis-a-vis that damn overhang. And now it's the rock garden. Now, I know we're on film and I don't care. I think she's just trying to start trouble. Pure and simple, she's looking for something to stir the pot about.
What does she want?
And what does she want? She wants to be given the history of the rock garden.
Give me a break.
Well, nobody asked her to pay for all the landscaping we've done over there. And I will tell you point blank, if she makes life difficult enough for us, we will simply terminate doing any landscaping over there and let it go to weeds. Okay? And if
I'll
they
make
want,
that motion right now.
you know, well, why don't we see what she wants, but yes, Stu.
A couple of things. The majority of the landscaping that is in that arc
Little
that you
corner.
see when you make the full stop has been in there for a very, very long time. And it is self-perpetuating. So once that stuff was in there, the only thing that we have done for what was in there is to just clean the soil up and turn it over and fertilize. What we did as in the beautification committee was to ask the, I guess the company that was doing it to put in colorful flowers,
Yeah,
and they did. And the total cost was no more than $50 or $60 for all the flowers that were put in there. But the result of the way it looked in terms of the color, people came into the office and said they made the full stop and they looked at that diagonally. It was at 11 o'clock or something like that when you pull the full stop, and they loved it. It was something very pleasing to the eye, and it lasted 3 months or 4 months, and then we ripped it out and put new again. We haven't done anything to it now, but we will as part of our plan. But I have no idea. I would like to know what this woman's motive is, because all she wants is history, but I would like to know, what is your motive?
well, why don't you and the CAM contact her?
Okay, give me your phone number. I'll call her on the phone.
No.
I'll ask her point blank. I'm not that embarrassed
Well,
to ask.
tell her to check with the historian.
I understand what you're saying, but this is Florida, and I guarantee you, if we stopped any kind of maintenance over there, that would be overgrown with weeds within 3 months. And I remember we had to search the empire to find just the right rocks. I'll never forget that fiasco about those rocks in there. Now,
I just want to clarify, on the four corners, are we talking about the corner that's
Haverhill,
adjacent to Dover?
yes,
And it's sort of
Yeah.
after their wall?
yes,
Near the bus stop.
Okay,
yes.
does
Is that the corner
Florida
of-
have the same rule that New York has at first possession after 10 years of that challenge?
You want to go to court over that?
No, I just want to tell her. let her
I know
go to
what you're
court.
saying, that we've been maintaining it for decades, probably. So we own it. I don't think you're gonna get away with that.
It's worth a try.
There's a classic case on that. Yes, Tom.
And this is the reason I've chosen not to respond to Mrs. Canzel verbally. There are some other issues that she brought up regarding our irrigation system. And I think it would be wise if any of us if we're gonna communicate with Dover condominium, we should do it at the very least by email. I now tell Mrs. Cancel if she has a request, a proposal, a demand, please put it in an email so I could share it with my officers. I've not gotten one back yet. This is someone who wants to have a conversation.
Yeah,
I don't think this is wise. For exactly the thing you just said it.
Adverse possession.
Donald, the only difference is that Dover's part of my quadrant.
Yeah,
So I have that as an excuse to say, hey, you have an issue, would you
Yeah.
explain the issue so we could resolve it?
Yeah.
I can resolve it very quickly with telling it, we'll take care of it, don't worry
I'll
about
make
it.
sure that Stu
did
gets
you
it.
get the email?
No, I never got anything.
I'll make sure you get it, Stu, and maybe you just can answer back on the email. Hi, I'm your quadrant vice president. What's the problem? And let it be typed.
Is that done?
Either way, I don't mind the phone call because I can chit chat with her. I know who she is. I've spoke to her before.
Especially since clearly you know the history, beautification, blah, blah,
Okay.
blah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Sending it.
You give me, you'll write a phone number
Sending
down.
it
I'll
right-
call
No, I'm
her.
sending it right now to you.
And that'll be the end of it.
Ed, did you get your turn?
No, it's not unusual. I have the same thing happen in the house.
We'll run a benefit.
I haven't made a decision since I've been married, and it's good. I can't be criticized.
Reasonably briefly, Ed.
Yes, I'll make it very brief. I'd like to put on that the Finance Committee is having 3 meetings next week. On Monday at 11 o'clock, on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and at Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And that all who would like to be on Zoom to send in an email, because we now have the ability to put it on Zoom, and you don't have to come, but you can
Okay,
participate.
hold on, back up. Joanne can get credentials, which we can publish in advance. We don't have to go out and ask people. We publish the credentials in advance. For example, on the blog or by mass mailing. And anyone, once they have the credentials, can join in.
David, any way you do it, but I think the more that participates, the better it's gonna be. And I think while the meeting was more than usual in time, it was very productive. And I don't want to leave a stone unturned, because if someone's playing mahjong and said, we didn't do this, I'd like to have the answer. 3 crack, 2 bam, mahjong.
Okay, anything else?
No, I think that's sufficient. I was gonna propose that when we have long meetings, we have it at the ring dancer.
They're off my list at the moment.
All
I
right,
think we get tremendous attendance at the ring dancer.
That's debatable. The quality of their food has dropped dramatically. I would not want to spend money for second-rate stuff.
Well, how about if we do it at Ruth's Chris?
That's fine.
If you're
You know, that's
saying-
right away.
it's unbelievable.
So what's next? What's next?
All right, I think we're up to new business.
Yes, we are.
Is there any new business to come before the officers committee? Speak up or forever hold your peace.
I'm holding Today, I don't know if, I know that in the past, Ed Black, I think I came and told you, when we had to add barcodes into the system,
Yeah,
we were able to do it from here. Well,
yes,
for the past 2 years, we've been calling ABDI and they enter the numbers for us. Today, I became official. They talked me through it, so now I don't have to call ABDI to add the barcodes.
I got you.
To activate the barcodes in the system.
Yeah,
So we're independent as that,
As
gotcha.
much as we could be.
as much as we could. Yes.
It's very interesting, and it's important that that be done so that we have an electronic equation. But I think you'll find that those barcodes will work no matter whether you enter them or not.
That's not true.
Yes, because I've done it.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You can take a barcode out of the box and walk out there, bring it past the scanner. Whoosh.
Yeah,
But
you just don't
it's
want.
important that we make this entry and that we control those barcodes.
Right.
All right? And in fact, I've even printed, there's barcode printing app on the internet.
Mhm.
I've even printed a code from the number, from my number, personal
Okay.
number underneath,
Huh.
and taped it on, and it works too.
Okay, well, yesterday was a perfect, if I could, yesterday, or we found out in the morning that we were installing barcodes and they were not working.
Oh, really?
Okay, brand new barcodes being put on the car. And the reason was that the server went down the night before,
Ah,
okay, and it was not reading.
Gotcha.
What created a havoc was that they straightened out Okeechobee, but they shut down Haverhill. So we had a lineup back up over there that Daniel had to work out, call ABDI and get them back up over there.
Gotcha.
So I can understand, it's very possible that it may read or may not read. But my experience is if you take, well, a couple of weeks, a month ago, when the last time that we put barcodes in there, they asked Donald, they said, Donald, we're opening up a new pack, is this in? He goes, yeah. And every one of them, the first 5 that they did, all got turned down.
All right.
So,
That was probably
There was
the thing you just described.
right, well, they were never added to the
Nah,
system.
That's not the reason. Something else was wrong.
Well,
it was sad, we had one woman to go through 3 times and was rejected 3 times. And she had a barcode that was virtually brand new.
Really?
And then finally, we put a new one on for free because we just had to be fair to her.
Right.
And she went in the 4th time and it worked. But she had, because of whatever glitches, just would not read, and she had almost a brand new.
The ghost in the machine.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
that's it.
Any other new business?
Yes.
Doc,
I sent out an email to the officers about 4 emendations to the bylaws. Put it on the back shelf, don't put it in your trash. When we get through with the budget and other stuff, I'll bring it up again and you guys can look at it and it'll come in front of the committee.
these are the ones I sent to Tennyson?
Yeah,
Yeah, you had already sent it to
Right.
Tennyson, right? There is no rush. There's plenty of other stuff to do first.
It's fine. Thank you. Ed,
Yes, I'd like to bring to the office's attention that we all know that we as volunteers cannot get remunerated. However, I'd like to bring to the fact that Tony, who is our insurance person, comes twice a week and pays a substantial amount for a driver. And I think that's wrong. I think it's legal to reimburse for expenses. And why should anybody who's incapacitated and doing that kind of job should bear the cost themselves?
Donald is reimbursed for mileage. work
Donald is a
related.
paid employee,
I understand.
overpaid for sure,
But Ed,
but
I
employed.
also numerous times asked, offered to reimburse Tony for her driver, and she has declined.
Well, she didn't decline with me, okay? I didn't ask her how much. She said what kind of an allowance she would give. And maybe she wasn't as forthright, but my opinion is, even if she doesn't take it, she's entitled to it.
And all she has to do is do a voucher.
She may not know that.
She is aware.
Well,
All right, let's make sure she's aware. I agree with you.
Put it on my list.
She can no longer drive. I think that's a reasonable
Absolutely.
accommodation. Do we
Absolutely.
need to vote on that
No.
one?
No,
No, that's
Okay.
reasonable.
okay, I just want to
So
know,
it's already our policy.
but she doesn't take advantage.
I'll talk to her.
When I spoke to her, she had no knowledge and she kept saying, how much? It cost me a whole bunch. How much are you gonna allow me? I said, don't tell me. I first want to bring up the idea. What's the sense of you telling me what your cost
I would
is?
support it 100%.
Absolutely.
It's already our policy to
Well, but
reimburse
she's not
any
using
of
it.
the
We'll talk to her.
volunteers if they
I,
travel.
I
in the
think
course
she
of
should be
business.
officially notified, so she doesn't figure
All right.
that she's getting something that no one else is
I'll make
getting.
sure that happens to Ed.
Any other new business? Going. Gone. We're in good and welfare. Open discussion.
Let's open discussion. What was all
We're finished.
What have we been
I
doing?
think we discussed enough.
Discussed out.
We've discussed out.
How about we discuss, motion to adjourn?
See,
Is that on the table for
See.
discussion?
all right, we have a motion to adjourn.
See,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
I got bitten. All over. Oops.